Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're jumping into a really beautiful, kind of mind bending story from Antoine de Saint Exupéry's classic, The Little Prince. It's all about this strange encounter on a tiny planet, and it asks some really big questions about what we value and why. So let's get into it. Okay, so our story kicks off on the fourth planet the little prince decides to visit. It's home to this businessman, a guy who is so completely lost in his work that when the prince shows up and says, "Good morning, your cigarette has gone out," the man doesn't even bother to look up. So you gotta be wondering, what could possibly be that important? Well, this first part of their meeting is all about the strange, frantic work that this very, very serious man is doing. So this guy is just completely lost in this whirlwind of counting. He's just muttering, 3 and 2 make 5, 5 and 7 make 12, totally ignoring the prince. He's out of breath, he's frantic, and he just dismisses any kind of interruption as, well, balderdash. And yeah, the numbers they just keep on coming. It's this relentless, nonstop stream of addition. You can almost feel how heavy and repetitive this endless task is. He's so deep in it all that the world around him, including this little visitor, might as well not even exist. But you know the little prince, he never ever lets go of a question once he's asked it. He just cuts right through all that noise with one simple, persistent question. 500 million what? It's a question that just hangs in the air, demanding an answer. And finally, after all that, the businessman gives him the grand total. Poof! Then that makes 501,622,731. Wow. I mean, it's a huge, incredibly specific number. But a number of what? Get this, he's been counting the stars. Not flies, not little bugs, but those little glittering objects up in the sky. The very same ones that, as he says, set lazy men to idle dreaming. And right here, this is where the real debate between them kicks off. And this is where we really get to the heart of the story, this whole idea of matters of consequence. Because what one person thinks is super important, another person might see as, well, completely meaningless. Okay, so this one sentence, it's basically the businessman's entire life philosophy, all wrapped up. He sees himself as a serious man doing serious work. For him, it's all about accuracy and numbers. There is absolutely no room for something like idle dreaming. And this just lays it all out so perfectly, doesn't it? You've got these two totally opposite worldviews, side by side. For the businessman, what matters is accuracy, counting, being rich. For the little prince, it's about asking questions, caring for his flower, and actually being useful. It's like they're living in two different universes. And this part is just brilliant. It shows you just how laser-focused this guy is. He claims that in 54 years living on this planet, he's only been disturbed 3 times. Once by a goose, once by his own bad joints, and now by a little kid asking a question. His entire life has just been about these numbers. So this leads to the next big question, right? The businessman isn't just counting the stars. He actually says he owns them. I mean, how is that even possible? And his reason? Well, it's almost shockingly simple. He says, when you get an idea before anyone else, you take out a patent on it. It is yours. So in his mind, just because he was the first person to ever think about owning the stars, they automatically belong to him. Simple as that. And the actual process of owning a star, it's just as wild. He literally just writes the number down on a piece of paper, pops that paper into a drawer, and locks it with a key. And that's it. In his head, that's all it takes. The stars are now his property, safely locked away in his bank. But yeah, the little prince, he's not buying it. He keeps pushing, challenging the whole point of this kind of ownership. And this is where the story's powerful message really starts to shine through. So the prince basically contrasts this super abstract idea of ownership with something you can actually, touch and feel. He gives these simple examples. If he had a silk scarf, he could wear it. If he had a flower, he could pick it. But, as he points out, you can't just pluck stars from the sky. There's no real connection. And then he lays out his own version of ownership, one that's all about care and responsibility. He waters his flower. He cleans out his volcanoes. His relationship with the things he owns is an active one. He actually takes care of them. And boom, that's the heart of his argument right there. His ownership is actually useful to the things he owns. He helps his flower. He helps his volcanoes. It's a two-way street. Which leads to this final, really powerful conclusion. The businessman can count the stars. He can claim them. He can lock their number away in a drawer, but he is of absolutely no use to them. And with that, the businessman is left completely speechless. So, the story kind of leaves us with a couple of key questions that are definitely worth circling back to, because they really wrap up everything we've been talking about. First up, the little prince asks him straight up, if you own all the stars and that makes you rich, so what? What's the point of being rich in the first place? And the answer? It just shows how completely circular and honestly kind of absurd his whole life is. Why does he want to be rich? So he can buy more stars, if anyone ever finds any more. For him, being rich is just a way to get richer. It's an endless loop with no real purpose at all. So after meeting this guy and all the other so-called grown-ups on his journey, what's his big takeaway? What does the little prince think about them all? He just says to himself, the grown-ups are certainly altogether extraordinary. And it's such a simple but profound thought, isn't it? It just leaves you wondering, what does it really mean to be a grown-up? And what matters of consequence might we be forgetting about in our own lives?